What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Deadly Combination.
Yo, Deadly Combination. What's going on?
We're under the Gold Dirty Bastards umbrella right now until we get our own Instagram popping off. But we're gonna make some things happen here.
Yeah,
But
this
for right
this
now,
is
we're just
just a little offshoot, you know what I'm saying, of Gold Dirty Bastards, same umbrella, but more focused on the fights, the pugilistic sports, you know what I'm saying, MMA and boxing. And we're going to bring you good content, some guests, and, we're going to make it rock, man, make it shake. What's going on, Nick?
yeah, just chilling, man. I'm excited to get some fight game talk. We had some requests from some fans on the Gold Dirty Bastards podcast to break down some more boxing. So we want to give the fans what they want to hear. So that's what we're
Absolutely.
here to do. Break down some fights,
Absolutely.
talk
Absolutely.
some
And let me
shit, get
introduce
excited.
myself again. We've been going for a minute. It's Major, Big Nip, you know what I mean? And we're going to be holding it down. Gonna be holding it down week in and week out with you. You know what I'm saying? So
No
let's
doubt.
skip the intro and let's get right to it. What we getting into, Nip?
So first on the agenda, we got a big fight coming up. Usman versus Burns. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
be this Saturday, February 13th on the UFC card. It's the main event. It's a big fight.
Absolutely.
I know you got some good insight on this one.
Hmm.
Um, so
Yeah,
go
I
ahead. Why
mean,
don't you tell us how you're feeling about the fight on this fight?
it's a dope fight. It's a long time coming. I think it has a lot of implications. You know, that it was supposed to take place and be the first one on Fight Island, the first fight on Fight Island, and then Dahino or Burns, as y'all call him, Dahino. That's what we call him. He had got COVID, so they threw in Masvidal, and they pushed the fight back. Um, what's interesting is they used to be teammates. You know what I mean? So they know each other very well. Obviously, Usman kind of ascended faster than Gilbert Burns did in the UFC. And he's 12-0 and he's been doing his thing. But I think this fight, man, is a real close, real pick 'em fight, and I'm really excited to see it. I just jump straight into it. As far as if we look at how they match up really well. Both decent strikers, both good grapplers in their own right, even though they grapple differently. Um, so I mean, I think it's going to be dope. I think when we compare, I would say on the feet right now, I probably would edge Dorino, Burns in power. I think he's the more powerful of the two. I think he has more of the one shot knockout power. But I think they're both okay strikers. I think definitely wrestling goes to Usman. I mean, he's definitely the superior wrestler, but not by that much. Burns is an extremely gifted grappler. Um, and his grappling's next level. And then when it comes to ground game and jujitsu, Burns I think is there's a sizable margin in that. But when we're looking at MMA, it's a little bit different than just straight up jujitsu because in order for him to really be able to implement it, he has to get him on the ground and keep him on the ground. You know what I mean? So I think that it's going to be it's going to be a barn burner. That's what I'm looking. That's what I think.
Yeah. So like, if you had a prediction to make, if you say what round you say it goes the distance, you say Usman gets a dub, or you going with Burns?
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm a little bit. This is a close. I'm a little bit biased. I trained under Dahino. You know what I'm saying? When I was, I believe, a purple belt, he was one of the instructors at the academy I was at. And he taught a few classes, a few nights a week. Real good dude. And Usman, I like Usman a lot. You know what I'm saying? He's one of the better fighters in the new generation. So I mean, it's really close. Um, I'm going to have to go with Burns though.
Oh,
Underdog.
the
You know what I'm
upset.
saying? I
Okay.
like both of them, but I'm gonna have to go with Burns. And the reason why is for a couple of reasons. I think he's a little bit hungrier right now, just because Usman, he's been there. I think this is his third title fight. He's kind of been on top of it. But I think for other reasons also, when you look at the intangibles, the team split. And Usman's been up in Colorado with Trevor Whitman, who's a remarkable trainer. But I don't know that he has, and but I don't know that he has the training partners that he had when he was down in Florida. Gilbert Burns still has a room full of killers. He's still working with Ernesto Hoops. He's still working with his team down there. So I think it's one of those things where I think he's hungrier and the change in teams that's not usually a good thing. Whitman's really good. He's technical. He trains Justin Gaethje too. You know what I mean? But I just think that training teams, excuse me, training switching trainers of a fight this magnitude, I think it could have some, some adverse effects on you. So I'm thinking that I'm thinking Dorino, and I'm thinking decision. I mean, I don't, but I wouldn't be surprised if he stopped him or he got a sub. But I'm thinking decision. You know what I mean? But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised. What's your take on it?
Well, for me, I think I'm with you on the fact that it's going to be. I think it's going to be a well fought fight. I think it's going to be fairly even. I think, like you said, Usman has a slight wrestling advantage, but not much. But Burns is definitely has more subs and more arsenal to his ground game. But if I had to pick, I would definitely take Usman. But I think it's going to go
Mm-hmm.
the distance, and I think it'll be a
Yeah.
close fight. I don't think either one of them is going to run away with it. I
Mhm.
think Usman just has a little bit more. He doesn't get tired at all.
Yeah,
Um,
good point. I was gonna say that.
he's got a great stamina, dude. He's like
Absolutely.
he's an animal. But I respect Burns. I like Burns' game.
Mhm.
I like what he did to Woodley. He took it to Woodley. But I think
Yeah.
Usman is a different beast, and they're familiar with each other, so they know what's what.
Yeah.
I think they both said that the sparring sessions were intense, but they got the better of each other often. But yeah, for the big fight, I'm gonna go with Usman.
Yeah, I
I'll
mean,
go Usman by decision.
it's sparring. I mean, I respect it too. I'm sparring is sparring. You know what I'm saying? That movie looked different in 3D. You know what I mean? And Jahino's been off a long time, and he's rounding out his skills. And it's interesting when we talk about the wrestling aspect, because I don't expect Usman to really try to take Dorino down or Gilbert Burns down too much, just because I don't think he wants to be on the ground with him like that. I expect him to kind of use it to keep him up against the cage, similar to how he fought Masvidal. I was thinking the same thing, and I don't think I mentioned that in the attributes. It's Usman does have the cardio advantage, and I think training in Colorado is only going to help that advantage because he's in that high altitude and he has his camp out there. So he's going to have that high altitude training, which will help him, help his gas tank, which already has an incredible gas tank. I think both these dudes are both mentally extremely strong. So man, I'm looking forward to it, and really I like both of them. You know what I'm saying? So it's really hard for me to pick, but just based off the fact that I know Burns and we train together, and he's dope. You know what I mean? And it's not like I'm just picking him just off of blind faith. Like he really does. He really does have a dog in this fight. So I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And it's good because it shakes up the division. Usman's been kicking everybody's ass. So if he wins, you could set up a rematch, or it could kind of fucking shake up the division a little bit, and you have a little bit more contenders. So I think it's dope. I think it's dope, man. I think it's going to be a good fight. You know what I mean? The rest of the card isn't that strong of a card, I don't think. You know what I mean? But I think this fight will carry the card. So
Yeah, I
I think it's
glanced it
dope.
over. I didn't see nothing that really caught my eye too much on there.
Yeah. They don't really
Um,
have a lot of fights with like title implications or ranking implications. It seems like they kind of just have a bunch of card fillers on the fight. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean it is what it is. But moving on, sticking with fucking MMA, Bellator, put out their brackets for their light heavyweight tourney, which is dope. What do you think about the tournament format that Bellator has?
I'm a fan of the Bellator format. It kind of reminds me of the back in the day when you had UFC with the tournaments, except for theirs were all in one night.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I do like the tournament setup. I think it's exciting for the fans. You get some matchups that you might not get otherwise because people be ducking and shit. So,
Mhm.
I'm a fan of it. I think you're gonna get the best matchups that way, and it's a good way to get a legitimate, undisputed champ.
Absolutely. I like it too. I would say my only, and you had some good points. I say my only knock on it, so it seems like it take a long time, and they've gotten better with it. But it seems like, and I guess maybe that's just the generation we live in now. It's like we want that instant, you know what I mean? But it seems like it prolongs. But I think overall it's dope, you know what I mean? And fuck it, while we're at it, let's just dig into the brackets. It looks like we have this 8 dudes. It's Ryan Bader versus Lyoto Machida,
That's a
Corey
good one.
Anderson versus Dovlazan Yagmashur. I don't know, man. I ain't even gonna pronounce that.
I don't know that cat.
Yagmashmurdov. Um, Vadim Nimkov, who's the light heavyweight champion, versus Mr. Wonderful Phil Davis. Anthony Johnson versus Yo Romero. You know what I mean? That's the 8 people that are fighting.
Ooh,
You know what I
that's a
mean?
barn burner
It's
right
it's
there.
just it's a heavy man. It's some good matchups there. You know what I mean? And what I like when you take a step back and we actually look at the card, a lot of these people have already fought each other. You know, Romero's
Yeah, yeah,
fought
through the
Machida.
years.
Bader's fought Phil Davis. Nemkov's beat Bader. He's fought Phil Davis. I mean, a lot of them have fought each other, and then you have some dark horses in it. So let's just go from the and Ryan Bader's the heavyweight champion in Bellator
Yeah,
now. He's the
damn.
heavyweight champion now, so he's coming down. Let's get your pick: Bader versus Machida. Who do you got?
I'm gonna go Bader. I think
Yeah.
Mashida's a little up there in a little long in the tooth. I
Hmm.
think I'm not the hugest Bader fan, but I think he's got some good tools, and I think
Yeah.
he is coming down though, so that could be interesting.
He's
But
originally light
if I had
heavyweight
to
though.
pick, I would yeah. If I had to
Yeah.
pick, I would take Bader in that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta go with you. I'm not a Bader fan at all, but I think that Machida's been kind of he was a supernova when he first started fighting. But I think like now, like recently, he's a little bit long on the tooth, and he has been off and on. So I would probably edge it to Bader. You know, what I mean, Bader's been good in Bellator. He's been kicking ass. You know, what I mean, he's been running through people. So I would probably edge him. Edge him with that one. And we move down the bracket. Corey Anderson versus I haven't heard of this dude, Dovazan
I don't know that dude either.
Yagmashmirdov.
You
I
got a
know
record
Corey
on this
Anderson
dude?
is
I
from
don't
the
even know.
UFC. You know what I mean? He actually got a win over Glover Teixeira. Corey Anderson does.
Did he?
He beat Glover Teixeira and then he got beat by Jan Blakovic. Um, and the other dude, the Dova Danson, I looked at his record. He doesn't really have any notable wins. I would have to do more research just to determine as to what's what. But I'm gonna just pick Corey Anderson just because
How
he
many
has
L's he got?
a better resume. I
Did you
think he only
remember?
has two. Let me
Okay.
check. Or does he have four? Let me look. I think he only has like four, but he hasn't really beaten anybody. You know,
Yeah.
all of his fights have been like over in Eastern Europe, it looks like. So he's probably from that Dagestani breed of fighters, I would presume, or at least in that region.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the UFC American dude on this one. I'm not fucking with the Dagestani cat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if he's Dagestani. I'm just being, but he did fight for ACB MMA, and I know it's an Eastern European uh, promotion. So I know he did do that. So we'll see. Let me look him up real quick and just see, because I did look at his record and I didn't notice anybody he fought. And I mean, Corey Anderson has a fight over Glover Teixeira. That's a big win. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, that's something
He's like
there.
15-4. I mean, so he's a solidified dude. So it'll be interesting. So this is a chance for the other guy to make a statement. You know what I mean? And I think that's dope. And then let's move up to the top of the bracket. We have Vadim Nemkov, who's the light heavyweight champion, versus Phil Davis. And they actually fought before, and Nemkov took a split decision over Phil Davis. Nemkov also knocked out Ryan Bader his last fight.
Okay, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so I mean,
So
this
he's
guy,
legit,
he's legit. He's legit. Phil Davis has always been one of them dudes to me. His nickname is Mr. Wonderful.
Mr.
He's
Wonderful. Yeah,
he's always been extremely talented, but it's something about him to me that he just doesn't have that beast. You know what I mean? Like he's athletically, he has good athletic prowess. He's a good wrestler, but it's like he doesn't have that
he don't got that
dog or
much
something.
gas either, does he? If I remember, he gets tired kind of quick.
I haven't seen too much of him in Bellator. I mean, he has decent
In the
gas.
UFC, back in the UFC.
Yeah, he would definitely gas him. I mean, but that's because he does a lot of explosive, movements. But to me, he doesn't have that dog in him, like that nasty streak, even though he has all of the attributes that would be dope. Um, but they fought a split decision. I mean, I'm gonna have to go with Nemkov, man. You know what I mean? I hate that. Now I always bet on black, but I think I'm gonna have to go with Nemkov. I mean, I think he's on a streak. I think he's won 6 in a row. He's been beating the shit out of everybody. He hasn't lost. He's only 12. He's 12-2. So I think I would have to go with him. You know what I mean? I think he has the confidence. But I wouldn't be surprised if Phil Davis, pulled off an upset.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with you on that one. Being that he already beat him once, even though it was a split decision. I think Phil Davis is a little bit past his prime too. I don't know how old he is, but he seems like he's pretty damn old.
He's mid 30s. You know what I mean? He's mid 30s for sure. You know what I
But
mean?
he
I don't know
relied
how.
like a lot on his athleticism and explosiveness. I don't know if it's all there still anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna rock with the other cat.
And then this is the fight. I think everybody's kind of salivating at, and
That's the
that's the Yoel
one. That's the
Romero
one.
versus Anthony Johnson. Like a Rumble Johnson at light heavyweight. Yoel Romero. This is one of them ones to me. You know what I
That's
mean?
a
Like
war.
like
No,
like,
that's a
like in
war.
any MMA, this is one of them ones to me. What's interesting, which I didn't even realize, is Anthony Johnson hasn't fought since 2017.
Yeah, he's been out for a minute.
He hasn't fought since he fought Cormier last. I knew Bellator had signed him. I thought he had got busy since then, but apparently he
Didn't he
hasn't gotten.
fight in bare knuckles? I kind of
Yeah,
think
but
he
that
did.
doesn't count.
That doesn't count. Yeah, but
Yeah, I
at
mean
least
that
he was
doesn't
somewhat
count.
busy. Shit.
Yeah, I mean we talking MMA. You know what I mean? So bare knuckle just is whatever. You know what I'm saying? I mean it doesn't count. And Yoel Romero's kind of been lumming it up recently. You know what I mean? Like I didn't like his fight against
Yeah,
his last
he's
fight
been
against
on some other shit.
he hasn't really looked great recently. What I do like is that he moved up to light heavyweight, and he always had trouble making middleweight. So I think that's dope too. You know what I mean? I think that's good that he's moving up. Yeah, I mean he's lost to his last three. He lost to Whitaker, but I thought he beat Whitaker that fight. From what I remember, I know he fucked with that was a good fight. But then the Paulo Costa fight he had lost, and Adesanya fight he had lost. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was
Adesanya he stunk up the Adesanya fight. The Costa fight was a good fight though. I mean, I thought that one could have went either way too. You know what I mean?
yeah, that was a good one. That was I mean, it could have been better, but it was pretty close.
It was a close fight. Yeah,
For
where's
the
Costa?
Adesanya one, yeah, he was fighting like a
He's a
Larry.
love. Well, what I don't like about him, and I think I mentioned this shit before, is that he's an Olympic level wrestler, and he rarely uses it.
Yeah, no
You know what I
doubt.
mean? He rarely uses it, and I hate that. I just hate people that don't use your attributes. It seems like in MMA, a common thing is people start to fall in love with the knockout. You know what I mean? And it's good if you can knock people out, knock people out. But that's a thing where you're a good jujitsu guy. You knock one dude out, and all of a sudden you want to stand and bang with everybody, or you're a good wrestler and you made your bones ground and pound off a ground and pound. You knock a dude out, and all of a sudden you don't want to take nobody down anymore. Fuck that, dude. Do what got you there. You know what I mean? Do what got you to that point in time. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah,
shit
no
is
doubt.
it's
I'm a
beyond me.
rock with Rumble on that one.
I'm a rock with Rumble too. I mean, Rumble's nasty,
Got
and
the
Rumble
size.
size and Rumble can wrestle too. I mean, Russell is a collegiate level wrestler. You know what I mean? And I think that Rumble has more tools in his striking. He has more
And he got
tools.
more power, slightly more power. He got
You
them
think?
heavy hands.
Yeah, I don't fucking. Yeah, I would say more power in his hands for sure. I think that Romero's more explosive.
Explosive. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
he's explosive, like the flying knees, to this, to that. But yeah, I mean, Rumble has kicks and he has punches. They both have cardio issues.
Yeah, Romero seems to gas a lot though. I
Yeah,
Rumble
Romero
too,
gasses a
but
lot. Yeah, Romero gasses a lot. Johnson get gases sometimes too. You know what I mean? They both have cardio issues, but I would say Romero probably has more cardio issues, and Romero's like what he's 43 now. You know what
yeah,
I
he's
mean?
up there.
So
I'll take the under on this one. I say somebody's going down.
somebody's going. Oh, for sure. When I looked at it,
Somebody's getting fucking KO'd.
somebody's getting knocked the fuck up out of there. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Romero's been stopped before though. He's got a beard on him. You know what I'm saying? But he's never been hit by Rumble either. You know what I'm saying? Like Rumble's no fucking joke. So I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see how that tournament plays out. It starts in April, right? April 9th is the first round. Is the first leg of the first half of the first bracket, and then April 16th is the second. So we definitely keep you posted, and we're gonna definitely be paying close attention to that, because that's one of the ones that we definitely want to just keep a
It is
tab
going to
on.
be wild. And now I'm looking at it. It ends in October. Damn.
That's super long, right? You know what I'm saying? Like they just announcing it now. Really, it's not that long when you think it's 3 rounds. I mean, and they have to. I mean, it's yes, 1, 2, 3 rounds, and they have to prepare for each round. But it's like from April, they don't fight again until July. So that's May, June, July. It's about 3 months. So I get it. I mean, you can't just keep putting these dudes in. But I think at the end of the day, it's like we want some
Maybe
finality.
maybe they should have another weight division to offset on that in between there to mix it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I know they have title fights. Like I know because they were talking about Bader still remaining heavyweight champion during the tournament, but they're going to do an interim fight. But I think you're right. I think that when they do these Grand Prix, they probably should offset
Do
them.
one
So
in
you are,
May. That would be tight. Start one
yeah,
in May.
start one in May and then start fucking a ladies one or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And in June or July. So we have all of them. I think that would be really dope. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that'd be smart.
But you know, like I said, on Bellator, it seems like they take a lot of UFCs, you know, fighters that either decide not to re-up with UFC or whatever, but they put out a quality product. You know what I mean? A lot of people thought that they would. A lot of people thought they would fold a long time ago. You know what I mean? And they're still putting out product, and they're still putting out. They're still putting out product, and they're still putting out tournaments, and still able to attract big name fighters. You know,
No,
fighters that
and
still have.
I like Bellator more than UFC because I don't fucking like Dana White. I think he be
Yeah.
on the asshole shit. Not trying to take care of his fighters at all. He's a greedy bastard. So if I had to support Bellator, I think if I had to choose, I would support Bellator over
Yeah.
UFC. But
Another
UFC
one
does have better fighters overall.
for sure. Yeah. I mean, but it's also the notoriety, you know what I'm saying? Because there's people that's getting money. Like one FC, one fighting championship is extremely big on the other side of the world. And they take care of their fighters. You know, like Ben Askren, I think they bought him a Lamborghini. Dana White ain't buying you a fucking Accord. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, he ain't gonna give you a Accord. And they're really popular. And they have their Muay Thai division and they have their MMA division. You know what I mean?
But
So I think
this is big for Bellator getting on Showtime. Now that's a big platform for them. So
it is a
that's a
big
positive
platform. I mean,
positive
the
move
only thing
there.
is that they've shifted a lot. You know what I'm saying? They were on, what were they on first? They was on like Spike or something like that, or TNT or
Spike,
some shit like that.
some of these
And
little smaller channels.
channels, and they've shifted, and they were on They were on CBS at one point, but I think it is good having that Showtime platform because Showtime has done a good job. They took boxing, you know, they had took boxing and went to the took it up once HBO dropped the ball, and you know, then Mayweather went over to Showtime, and they've done good with boxing. So I think it's definitely the right platform. I think what they need is they just need a couple stars. You know what I mean? Actual stars of their own. The one dude is crazy though. AJ McKee Jr. He's a bona fide star. Look out for him. He's dope.
Yeah,
He's
my
dope.
people, all my people.
He's the son of AJ McKee. I believe he's in the finals, or he's the featherweight or lightweight. He's really raw. He might be a star for them. You know what I mean?
Okay, okay.
But I like Bellator a lot. What else we got, man?
Oh man, so we had a spectacular knockout over the
Oh
weekend.
shit.
Frankie Edgar, who I'm not the hugest fan, but he's I respect Frankie's game.
Yeah.
Um, I always wanted to see Frankie versus Conor, but we never got to see that.
Uh
But
huh.
man, I don't know if you've seen it, but that KO was fucking deadly. That was a fucking nasty ass KO.
I ain't see the whole fight initially, but then I went back and I did watch it. Yeah, I mean that KO, that flying knee was up there. I'd already put it up there with the Masvidal, Ben Askren flying knee. You know what I mean?
That sort of
Um,
reminded me of, and Frankie was
yeah,
laying there motionless, twitching a little bit. I was a little scared for the dude.
the shit was sad. You know what I'm saying? Shit was unseemly. I mean, I think what we're seeing, and it's interesting, what we're seeing in MMA, and it's crazy because you know we've been watching it a long time. I remember when Frankie Edgar was coming in and was a contender, and they were ushering out the other dudes. You know what I'm saying? And you know the dudes that came in like the Liddells, the Rampage Jacksons, the BJ Penns, all of those dudes. Frankie Edgar and that kind of class was ushering those guys out, and now they're getting ushered out. I think Frankie Edgar's lost 4 of his last 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think
yeah.
he's as a fighter, I'm not a huge fan of him per se, but he's a really talented fighter. Boxing, wrestling, submission, he's champion. You know what I mean? He's done his thing. We both wanted to see him fight Conor McGregor. I thought that was a really bad matchup for Conor. You know what I mean? He's been in some wars, so to see him get put out like that was just man. And I mean, and shout out to Sandhagen. You know what I mean? I mean, he went in there. He did. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do. But man, like you said, it was sad to see Frankie Edgar go out like that. Man, I was like, man, you
I want to
know,
just hang him up after one of those ones.
that's what I'm thinking. I mean, not even so much that. But let me pull up his record again. The fact that he's lost 4 of his last 6.
Yeah,
I
that's what
mean,
I'm
I think
saying. Like,
that's one of those things
and then
where
to
it's just
take that
like,
loss on top of that,
yeah, it's
might
just
be
like
just
you.
time to just call it.
Yeah, he's but you know he's got that Rocky, you know that Italian, or you know that Rocky Jersey toughness. You know what I'm saying about him, and I'm sure he loves the sport. But I think at that point in time, it's like you got a family and shit, bro. You know, like just maybe you kind of don't want to do this because you can't compete right now. You're not competing at that level where the rest of these dudes are right now. You know what I mean? And it's not It's nothing wrong with that because you had an impeccable career. It's not a lot of people that could say they was, champion in the UFC, featherweight champion in the UFC. But this point in time, man, it's just like you might want to, hang him up, or maybe you have a fight, to go out on your shield so you don't just end it in an L, or you
Yeah,
have
you
a
can match him
fight.
up with an older cat.
Yeah, or just some young dude. Yeah, because it looks like he's lost. Yeah, four of his last six. He lost to Brian Ortega. He got knocked out. He got beat by Max Holloway. He got knocked out by Chang Sung Jung, and he got knocked out. So I mean, four of his last six, three out of four of those was knockouts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
And I think his thing is he doesn't have elite power.
he
He's good
doesn't.
at. He got a nasty one too. It's nice,
Mhm,
and he got good movement. But he don't
mhm.
got that. He's gonna stun you and get you by accumulation. He's not really gonna just drop you, cold clock you with a one hitter quitter.
Yeah,
He's not that
absolutely.
kind of.
And he's also one of them people that he kind of got away from his wrestling too. He's a wrestler by trade. He's a wrestler by trade. And he's one of those dudes that he has good boxing. He's not a dude that has sloppy boxing. He has good tight boxing, but I think he's one of those guys that got away from his wrestling where he just kind of started to rely on his boxing a lot and rely on his striking. And it's not wrong with wanting to strike, but combine the two. You know what I mean? Use your boxing to set up takedowns, do some ground and pound, be the full package. Don't just fall in love with throwing jabs and hooks and things of that nature. That's the way I look at it. So, but I mean, shout
Yeah,
out to Frankie Edgar and definitely Sandhagen. Got to
on the
watch
come
for
up,
him, man. I would like to see what he's doing next. You know what I mean? I want to see where he's going with it. You know what I mean?
no doubt. But since we were
Um,
talking about Connor,
mhm.
um, I just been hearing a lot of stuff on the social media, seeing some stuff on there, and I had a couple arguments on there about Connor's legacy. So I
Mhm.
just wanted to bring it up here now that we have this platform and get your
Absolutely.
thoughts on it.
Um, I mean, what do you? Let me. I'll let you go first.
I mean, he's been good for the sport monetarily, right?
Hmm.
But I feel like I don't think overall it was good for the sport. I feel like it brought a WWE element to the sport, which I don't
Hmm.
think is necessarily a good thing. It did invigorate the sport with a new fan base,
Hmm.
but a lot of the people that brought in were more like casual type dudes, and to me it seems like he just has a cult type following. Now I'm not gonna say he's not a great fighter. He was a pretty damn good fighter.
Hmm.
Uh, Definitely had some striking skills, but I think a lot of it was a little bit overhyped. I think he's definitely one of the overhyped fighters. And if we're talking about like all time greats, he's up there, but at the bottom of the list for me, like at the lower tier.
Okay.
Um, and I'm at this point, I'm more of a casual fan myself because I'm up in the football and the boxing a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now with COVID, I'm starting to get caught back up on the MMA game. But
Now,
we have this conversation, so I keep into it through you a lot of the shit.
are we talking impact? Or are we talking legacy? Right? Because
That's the
because you were
question
talking
there.
impact and legacy. I mean, and they're separate. I mean, they're combined, but they are because obviously he's had an impact. I will say that I think it's a double standard, and I'm gonna go off a little bit when we talk
Oh,
about
really?
impact. I think he took a page out of Mayweather's playbook. You know what I mean? And I think that, in terms of, okay, if I can't get loved, I'm gonna do this and that. I'm gonna really try to sell a fight, in terms of impact. I think that he gets praised for some of the stuff, the arrogance and the confidence that other athletes get bashed for. You know what I mean? Mayweather especially. Um, I think the impact, I think it's a good thing in a sense that he definitely writes his own check, so to speak. You know what I mean? He's not gonna fight for less money. He's not one of those do boys for Dana White. You know what I mean? And I gotta respect that. He could retire, he could come back, and he could get whoever the hell he wants. You know what I mean? Like yeah. So I respect that. I do think that in terms of the WWE thing, yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. I mean, I'm about respect. I'm about martial arts being like about respect. And I think that there's a difference between selling a fight and just going way overboard. You know what I mean? And when you start to talk about people's wives, like you did with
Yeah,
Khabib, and you
the
just
Khabib shit, and
yeah,
then you're gonna be copping like, oh, it's just sport. What do in between rounds? I think it was, or no,
uh-huh.
it was when he had him on the cage. Connor was like, oh, it's just sport, man. I was just doing this for sport. Like, Man, don't man, take your. You were talking that shit. Keep talking that shit. Don't be like
Yeah.
crying in the corner and
Yeah,
shit. That shit ain't
stand
right.
on it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, stand on. And that's one thing. Like a lot of fighters talk shit and dap it
And the
up.
bus incident too. That's another thing that
That's
turned me
crazy.
off.
I mean, and a lot of fighters talk shit. You know, you sell the fight. You know what I mean? A lot of people talk shit and they dap it up after, but it's within a certain thing. Once you start talking about somebody's kids and somebody this and somebody that, it's like, wait a minute. So as far as impact, I think it's always good when you have more fans looking at a sport because it helps people get bigger purses and it helps the athletes. But you're right. I think sometimes the people that it does bring in, you get a lot of non-educated fans. Now, in terms of his legacy, I mean, it's a slippery slope with that for the simple fact that he's one of few people, well, very few, that held two titles simultaneously, in two different weight classes.
But at the same time, he never defended a
He
title.
never defended either one. And at the same time, and you could comment on the comments or whatever, you could call me a hater. I think he was really a product of good matchmaking. I 1,000% stand by that. You know what I'm saying? Even when he first came in, I said he doesn't want to go up against a good grappler. And I saw that. You know what I mean? And they kept him away from Khabib as long as they could. You know what I mean? They didn't have him fight Edgar. They had him fight all of these dudes. Even when he came back and he fought Cerrone, I thought that was just a
Oh, that was
tailor-made fight for him.
tailor
When
made.
he went up and he fought Eddie Alvarez for the title, tailor-made fight for him. You know what I mean? I knew that when he went up, I'm like, oh, he's going to win that fight because he is a dynamic striker and he is an incredibly good striker. You know what I mean? And we can't take that away from him. And the fact that he held two belts at the same time, it's definitely in high regard. You have to put him somewhere, but at the same time, it's like you didn't take on the dogs, and when you started to fight them dogs, you started to get your ass kicked. You know what I mean? Like you started to get
I
beat.
had him
So I mean,
losing that second Diaz fight myself.
I did too. I had him losing that fight. Um, but I mean, like Diaz shouldn't have let it go to the scorecards, but I definitely thought he lost that second fight. I thought he lost to Diaz twice. Um, and Diaz is a journeyman. Let's be real, right? Diaz is a journeyman. Like he's not upper echelon. I'm not gonna say he's not an upper echelon fighter. Let me not say that, but he's not a title holder. He's not a perennial contender. He's one of them dudes that's really talented and is going to give you a fight and is definitely going to fight you. But he's not up there where you consider him like one of the elite level fighters. You know what I mean? And he got his ass kicked by Diaz. And I'm a Diaz fan. You know what I'm saying? I like Nate Diaz. I like Nick and Nate Diaz. You know what I'm saying? They're from Stockton, which is like the Bay's cousin or whatever. You know what I mean? So I like them. I like both of them. You know what I'm saying? I like Nick a little bit more. I think Nick's a little bit, but they're both dope. To me. I mean, and Conor got his ass kicked. So I
Yeah,
think
he
that
killed
his
the corner.
legacy, you definitely have to put him up there. I think you definitely just kind of have to put him in the Hall of Fame. You can't not. You know what I'm saying? Because there's only a few people that did what he did. What Henry Cejudo, uh, Daniel Cormier, and I think Conor. The only three that held titles
Yeah,
simultaneously. You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And then you have other
Double
people
champ.
that won titles in two divisions. BJ Penn did it. Randy Couture was light heavyweight champion and heavyweight champion. Um, I'm sure there's like another one or two, but there's not that many. So when you combine both of those categories together, so I mean, I think with that you have to put them in the Hall of Fame, just based off of that. But at the same time, matchmaking is a big thing. Like matchmaking plays into it. I think if he had to fight the Tony Fergusons and the Khabibs, the Frankie Edgars, and these type of people, even Chad Mendez, if he'd have fought Chad Mendez with a full
On
camp,
a with the full. Yeah, exactly.
I think it would have been a little bit different. But they know how to Dana White knew what he had, and Dana White's good at that. He knew what he had, so he wanted to milk that as long as possible. And I'm gonna just keep it real. I thought he was gonna beat Poirier.
Yeah, I mean, I
We
picked
talked
him.
about it.
We picked
We
him.
talked about it, right? We talked
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it when
I
it was
picked him
first
too.
announced. We talked about it when it first announced, and we thought that was a celebration and a comeback fight. What we didn't expect was Poirier to fucking, to take that as an insult. And also, Connor switched his camp before that fight as well. He switched his camp. I
Yeah,
mean, and that's a
Khabib had
big
said that
thing,
on
man.
Twitter, right? He was
On Twitter,
killing on
yeah.
that shit.
You can't switch your camp. You know what I'm saying? You just can't switch your camp. And I mean, sometimes you can, but you have it has to be quality. It has to be the right fit for you. You know what I mean? Like you can't just switch your camp and put a bunch of yes men around you and a bunch of people that you're just beating up on and sparring. Sometimes you need that tough love. Sometimes you need to get, you need to taste that blood. If you beating
Yeah.
up everybody, in jiu-jitsu, if you're never getting tapped and you're the only person, you're never getting tapped in the room you're in the wrong room. If nobody's pushing you in any sport that you're doing, you're in the wrong place. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
should
no
always
doubt.
have some kind of rival with somebody to give you that edge. So, that's that. You know what I mean?
And
And I
a
believe,
lot of his wins were on short notice, correct? Like early on in his career.
yeah, he has some short notice wins. I
Even
mean,
The Diaz loss was on short notice, correct? The
the
first
loss was
one.
on short notice. I think it was on 2 weeks' notice. Yep. The first one was on 2 weeks' notice. You know what I mean? And he lost that one. I mean, and he jumps in. I mean, that is what that is. You can't control people pull out of fights. But I definitely think it was definitely some creative matchmaking. And it's crazy because my cousin Imani, who's an MMA fighter, he loved Conor. You know what I mean? And Conor, I forgot who Conor knocked out. Conor knocked out somebody. He's like, Conor. I'm like, Khabib would beat the shit out of Conor. This is like, I think a year and a half, 2 years before they fought. He's like, you think so? I'm like, watch. Like, he will beat Conor's ass. And sure enough, it happened. But that's just because Conor never really had to deal with a grappler. And when he did, even
Yeah.
that fight with Mendez, you could see Mendez took him down and he had issues when he was on the ground. And then you realize, okay, this is what it is. If you can weather the storm or you can take him down and keep him down, it's not a big issue. You're going to be able to take him out. So, but overall, I mean, you definitely can't discount what he did. He definitely has a high knockout percentage. He's definitely a talented striker. He even transcended into boxing. So, I mean, as far as impact and as far as where he stands in terms of his legacy, I mean, you have to put him in the Hall of Fame. But I think there's a lot of, like you said, I think there's a lot of people ahead of him, even people that are
Fanboys. There's
just
too many. His fanboys is what really upsets me.
even like
There's
John
like,
Jones. I mean, right? Like
oh
John
hell no.
Jones was way ahead of him. Even people that are single division champions, they have better legacies because they stood in there and they fought
St.
just
Pierre
killers.
shits on him.
St. Pierre, St. Pierre's a two division
Silva,
champ. Anderson
Anderson
Silva.
Silva.
I mean, yeah, I
So I
mean
mean,
these dudes.
he's up there, but like I said, he's on the lower tier. Maybe like top 10, maybe like 10,
Maybe,
maybe maybe
maybe. I mean,
12, somewhere
you
around
got
there.
you
I
got to
don't
go
know.
in the playbook. I mean, Chuck Liddell had a lot of title defenses. I mean, BJ Penn, where does he stand? He won. He was I think the first to do it, or maybe Couture was, but he was lightweight champ and welterweight champion.
Well, and
Where's
that's the
Randy?
thing too is a lot of the guys you're mentioning, these cats never seen fight because they just
Yeah.
jumped on once Connor came into the game. So
Even Fedor. I mean, like when you think about it, where's Fedor stand? He ran up 29 wins in a row. I mean, Shogun, who? I mean, it's a lot of dudes that you could put there. And I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's all opinionated. But when you look at legacy, you definitely have to look at, all right, man, who would you kill though? You know what I'm saying? Like, who did you kill? Who did you go
yeah,
out there and really bust it down with? Not so much who you lost to, but who did you go down there and really lock in with? And if
yeah.
you look
That's
at
why
it,
we have to examine all criteria when you're talking about the goats. Everything
yeah,
comes into play. You can't just pick and
everything.
choose shit.
You can't. No, I mean, I think you're right. His fans are annoying. You know what I'm saying? And that's what anybody with a cult like following. You know what I'm saying? You have a lot of uneducated people that don't even. They started watching the sport because of him. You know what I mean? And it's cool if you want to come in and you watch the sport and you actually want to become a student. You know what I'm saying? And look at it and look at it from an objective point of view. But when you just go in there and it's just, oh, Connor's, he's fucking the greatest, he's the GOAT. And then when he gets, you lead a sport, then you just, you fair weather and you ain't really in it. You know what I'm saying? You don't understand. And it's the same people that don't, when the fight goes to the ground, they call it boring. And you know what I'm saying? Like those type of people, they don't understand the technical aspects of it. So it's one of those things where, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's a good and a bad thing. His impact is a good and a bad thing. Anytime you have more eyes on a sport, it's good. But like you said, it's a lot of casuals and just fair weather people that aren't MMA fans. They're Conor fans. Same shit with Pacquiao. There's a lot of people that aren't boxing fans, but are Pac-Man fans. And there's people that ain't basketball fans, but they're LeBron fans. You know what I mean? Like
Yep,
it's that era, it's that segment of people. It's just like, we could do without them. You know what I mean?
no doubt.
Uh, but moving on, you know what I mean? That was
And
on MMA.
we should just have a couple. We'll have a couple seconds where we do top five, top tens, and shit like
Yeah,
that.
definitely. I mean, you guys comment in the comments. Definitely we want to read the comments. We want to feedback. What do you think his legacy stands? Where would you rank him? What do you think about his impact on the sport? You know what I mean? And what do you think his next move is? We definitely want to interact and get people's opinion. You know what I mean? In terms of, and we're more than welcome to answer any questions that you you guys have. You know what I mean? Let
Yep,
us
yep.
know. Yeah, man.
All right, let's switch
Spinning
gears.
on to boxing. You know what I mean? Talk a
Yeah.
little bit of boxing talk.
So I've been listening to some of these Mike Tyson podcasts,
Hmm.
hotboxing Mike Tyson, and he's had the young gunners on the young lions. He's recently had Tiafimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia, and the latest one was Devin Haney. I didn't
Yeah.
listen to the Ryan Garcia, but I listened to the other two. They're very entertaining and very it's just dope to see Tyson reaching out and rocking with the new generation, giving them some gems of some advice of how to stay on the proper path. And Tyson's always been pretty transparent on the shit he fucked up on. So it's good to hear him telling these young cats, what type of shit to avoid.
Um, unfortunately, I didn't see too many of the. I didn't see him with the young guns. I seen clips of him on Ryan Garcia. I seen some clips of him in Tiafimo's episode. I have seen some of his prior episodes of Hotbox, and I think the podcast overall is really dope. You know what I mean? Um,
It's good for the sport too. Getting
it's
these
very
guys
good
on
for the
there
sport,
it's
but
a
I
new
think it's really
platform.
dope. I think it's a dope platform that he's putting them on because he had been said you guys should all fight, and I think that by putting everybody on a podcast like that, it's obviously putting them on a good platform, but it's also putting more pressure on them to get the fights. And I mean,
Yeah,
I think it's just dope that because you don't really see a lot of, at least not in the public sense, you don't see a lot of older fighters coming back and rocking with the young dudes. You know what I mean? A lot of them, sometimes you have that old versus new rivalry, and to have them come in and give them a platform to speak because a lot of times with boxers, even like one of my knocks on Crawford is you don't really, he doesn't really have a personality. You know what I'm saying? So when you give somebody a platform like a hot boxing, you can start to see their personality a little bit more than just what you see in the ring and what you see in interviews because it's a different kind of setting where it's not like an interview, it's more them shooting the shit. So I think it's dope, and I think it's good that they're on there, and I think it'll help in getting them to fight. You know what I mean? Because he did a call with Ryan
yeah, he's,
Garcia, and
he's
then,
having them call each
yeah,
other out. They talking
yeah,
that shit, and then he'll put them on
yeah.
blast and put them on like
He on
he
to
had
instigate like
Haney like,
fuck.
oh Haney, he's talking shit about you, bro. Like
Yeah,
shit
yeah,
was funny.
that shit's hilarious. So I think it's dope. I think it's good. You know what I mean? And I look forward to more episodes and him just kind of helping move the culture forward, especially in this day and age where you need something else. With the pay-per-view numbers kind of down and with COVID, and you need something else to help propel the sport. You know what I mean? And podcasts are big, and having these young dudes um on his podcast is good because some people don't know of him. Some people don't know of Teofimo. You know what I'm saying? Like some of these people, they don't have names, but you put them on a podcast that has a bunch of subscribers, and it makes people pay attention, and then they
It's good
double
for the
back and they
sport.
look very good for the sport. So keep on doing what you're doing, and Tyson is one of our favorites. He's always going to be
Sad.
one of the most violent joints. What's next?
Oh, so yeah, those were the lightweights, but we got a big junior lightweight match coming up between Berchelt and Valdez. It says it here. It's for 130 pound supremacy, but we do have Shakur Stevenson waiting in the wings. So I'd like to see him get the winner of this. I don't
uh,
know, not like maybe right now off the bat, but maybe in a year or so.
mhm.
But this is a good fight. These two guys are solid fighters. They both got power, um, and I'm looking for an explosive fight on February 20th. Is so 2 weeks from now. I just didn't know if we are gonna get a chance to cover it if we're gonna do it next week or 2 weeks or whatever. So I
Yeah,
figured we just
absolutely.
throw it
I
on
mean,
here now.
I don't know enough about either opponent to really make an educated decision on it. You know what I'm saying? My main focus for boxing obviously is the lightweight and welterweight and up. I know Shakur Stevenson's at 130. Obviously, I'm a big proponent of him getting a shot with somebody. You know what I mean? If we have another podcast prior to the fight, then I'll definitely research both of these dudes and make a good decision. Regardless, we definitely will recap this fight though and let us know. And you guys let us know your fight predictions too. Any topic we talk about, any topic we speak on, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you guys think. You know what I mean? You can call us on our shit, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, but we just want that interaction. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no doubt. Let
That's
me
it.
just pull up the tail of the tape on these cats real quick if I can.
Okay.
I just want to get a little. At least we could do that if I could find it real quick. Okay, so Valdez is 30. Berchelt is 29. Valdez has a record of 28-0. Berchelt is 37-1. When it comes to the height, Berchelt is 5'7" and Valdez is 5'5", so he's got 2 inches on him there. Reach, oh okay, Berchelt has a 70.9 inch reach to 66.1 for Valdez, so we got about 4 inches on him, four and a
Oh
half.
wow. Yeah.
They're
Well, I
both
mean,
orthodox.
that could go a long way, or it could not necessarily go a long way, depending on what's going on. You saw in the Canelo fight, dude had a ton of reach on Canelo, and that shit didn't matter at all. So you know what I mean? Well,
I think
we'll
it's
have
gonna.
to.
I think we're taking the under on this one. I think somebody's gonna get KO in this battle
Nice, 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 nice.
because they both got
Uh,
a decent knockout percentage.
Absolutely. Let's let's go to this wild shit we heard with the whole Wilder trainer saga.
Oh yeah, man, that shit was
Let's go with
wild.
that. So obviously Wilder had the fight against Tyson Fury, didn't really go his way. You know what I mean in terms of didn't go his way. He got his ass kicked out there. Things happen. Now initially, he was saying that the 50-pound emperor costume he came up with zapped his legs. That's what he was saying, and that's why he lost. Then there's the glove gate, where Tyson Fury taped his gloves higher,
Yeah,
so
that
his
I think
punches
there's
went
something
through.
to that
I mean, I
shit.
think there's some legitimate, but the latest is that he thinks his trainer spiked his water, and that's what caused him to have a flat performance. You know what I mean? And I think a couple of things, man. And Deontay Wilder, that's one of, I like him a lot. You know what I'm saying? As a fighter. But man, quit the capping, man. Cut the bullshit. Like you never mentioned this before. You never said anything like this before. And now this is the thing. Now it's your trainer spiked your water because he wanted you to have a rematch because of I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And I think at the end of the day, man, eat your L, man. Just eat the L, man. Pick yourself up. You got a rematch clause. Eat the L. I know the trainer fired back and just basically was like, Wilder's untrainable right now. He wants a bunch of yes men around him. He's untrainable essentially, and he actually fired his trainer and hired his co-manager, Joy Diaz, as his trainer. I don't know much about him. From what I read on him, he owns one of those gyms in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And he has a lot of experience in fighters, but he's not a high level trainer. You know what I mean?
And Floyd had offered to train him for the next one, but I guess
Yeah,
he wasn't feeling it.
but you know what? It's one of those things when we saw the first Fury versus Wilder fight, that first fight, you know what I mean? I thought that Wilder could have knocked Fury out. I thought that if he wasn't loading up and he just would touch him throughout the fight and then start to throw that right, he could have put him out. I actually thought he did knock him out. Let me go back. I thought it was a slow count, right? Thought it was a slow count. But let's get rid of that. I thought that he could knock him out, and I thought in the rematch he would make the necessary adjustments, not to outbox Fury, but to touch him up, touch him, not try to knock him out with every punch. Keep him at the end of your punches and vary the power of your punches. Eventually, he's going to walk under something. You're going to catch him. We didn't see that in the second fight. We saw Fury making all the adjustments. You know what I mean? I think Wilder's capping though. I mean, I don't think his trainer poisoned him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Just
I
gotta
think
take
that's
that
the
L.
wild shit. You know what I'm saying? Take the L, brush yourself off, get in a rematch, and do what you need to do. You know what I mean? And if he'd have mentioned it from the rip, then maybe. You know what I mean? But first it's the 50-pound fucking costume.
I think it
And
was
then
something with them gloves. I'm telling you because you didn't see Fury hurt Wilder like that at all in the first fight, and then he just like rocking him with every little shot. Like that was
yeah, I
kind of
mean,
fishy to me.
I mean,
And
I think
then
the
if you
gloves
go
also
back and look, uh, Fury had a fight where he had got caught by a ref for having the glove the part where his thumb and his hands meet was torn
was
off.
taped. Was
Yeah,
it?
no, it's cut off. It was open, so that would lean. He could pop his thumb out of that and then do that shit where he does because that was a claim is that he was hitting him in the unpadded part of the glove.
Yeah.
So I think there's some smoke and there's fire there, but
I do too. I mean, I've seen the
at
video.
the same time, I think Wilder does need to just take that L. And if you really want to prove yourself, come back and fight him again. Be
I
like,
mean,
I
and
want
not
these
for
gloves
nothing, bro.
checked.
And not for nothing, bro. He bullied you that fight. I mean, it wasn't just the gloves, bro. You wasn't throwing. He had you up against the ropes. You know what I mean? You need to circle back. I think Wilder's biggest knock is he's just a power puncher. You know what I mean? And he's used to landing that right hand. And I think after you've had so much success, you just fall in love with it, and you just know, well, I could turn a fight around anytime with this right hand. You know what I mean? And I mean, yeah, you can, but you don't want to just rely on it because what if you can't land it? You know what I mean? And at some point, it starts to become telegraphed because I know, well, he's just going to throw the right. As long as I don't get hit with that flush, I'm all right. You know what I
He's
mean?
just
Like,
too
so,
damn sloppy, and maybe Breland does have a point. Maybe he is untrainable because, any good trainer is gonna tell you start popping the jab, straighten out your punches. Like, yeah, you got punching power, but this dude is throwing some wild ass weird looping shit. Like, you
yeah.
get in there with a good fighter, you're gonna get fucking dropped on a counter.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, and like you said, and a good trainer is gonna make you come under them. Even I'm not a fan of Teddy Atlas, but Emmanuel Stewart, rest in peace. Mayweather, you're under them. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not going to be telling them how the training camp runs. And I'm not going. I don't know Deontay Wilder's personal, business in terms of how his training camp is. If he is really extremely just like untrainable, but when you go up under these type of trainers, they're going to run your camp. You know what I mean? It's easy to see. I mean, it's easy to accept that maybe he did get big headed and just said, man, I can knock anybody out with this. So it don't matter as long as I hit him. I damn near knocked him out last time. As long as I hit him, it doesn't matter. I don't have to make adjustments. You know what I mean?
I think
I
it's
will like
telling that he went to a relatively unknown dude too. Like,
me
you would
too.
think he would have went to like a more, a top level trainer after
Absolutely.
that L.
Absolutely. I mean, I understand how you wouldn't go with Mayweather. You know what I mean? Like if he offers to train you, I don't get it. I know he had said in one of his fight camps videos that I watched, he likes to be around his family. And that's why he does his camps at home. And a lot of fighters don't like to do it. But man, when you're trying to get back up that mountain, man, sometimes you got to make adjustments. You see, Anthony Joshua went fucking vegan. You know what I mean? Like he went vegan and he reinvented
And Joshua
himself.
been looking nice.
And he's been looking
His last
crazy.
fight, he's
Yeah,
throwing
he's
some
been looking
crisp
good.
ass punches, boxing on his toes.
I mean, and I
I
think
think
that
I got him beating Fury if they fight
I got
personally.
to beat Fury too. But I think that his loss was subject to him just being big headed. You know what I mean?
No
And
doubt.
and he got caught slipping. You know what I mean? And he got brought down a couple notches. And it's one of those things where but at least he accepted that. I said, well, let me change my diet. Let me change my training regimen, and let me do what's need to be done
Box
for
a
me
little
to
bit
climb back up that
smarter.
mountain. Yeah, he's boxing smarter. He's using his movement. He's not slugging out there. He's lighter. And at first, when I saw him, I thought he was too light, but he looks good at that weight. You know what I mean? He looks good. He's still got pop. He's got more cardio. So I think sometimes just because something works, it's worked for you. You never want to stop learning. You never want to stop
Yeah,
refining
you
your
always gotta
game.
adapt.
You always have to adapt, and that's why Mayweather was so good. You know what I'm saying? Because throughout just the course of a fight, he would be able to adapt, and I think that's important in boxing. You can't just be this one way. You have to be able to adapt. And if somebody calls your number like Fury did, definitely you got to go back to the drawing board and figure out what's what because you've gotten by doing X, Y, and Z. But that doesn't mean that's going to allow you to be great. So I mean, I want to see him come back. I wish him the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he needs
You
to
know what
just
I mean?
cut this shit out. This nonsense. Like, ain't no trainer fucking trying to spike your punch, dude. Like, get out of here with that shit.
No, I mean, I don't think he had any interest in spiking your butt, especially because he's like, oh, I think him and the ref and everybody was in on it. It's like, bro, like, okay, so what? You had a rematch clause. There's no guarantee he would be your trainer in the rematch. There's no guarantee the rematch would autumn. You know how rematch clause works. The rematch still ain't fucking happen. You know what I mean? It could happen 3 years down the road. What vested interest did he have in spiking your drink? Realistically speaking, unless he just bet the farm against you. But even still, the odds weren't that good. Like the
And wouldn't that
odds,
shit? Don't they test them afterwards? Don't they test
they
the fighters
do.
after?
Yeah,
Yeah, so some shit
exactly.
have
I
shown
mean,
up.
yeah, something depending on what you got hit with. But I mean, I just don't think there was another thing that he was upset about too was the fact that dude threw in a towel, and he thought dude threw in a towel too soon. And I
Nah,
was
nah,
watching
nah.
some
He had a fucking
interviews.
busted eardrum, I think.
He had a busted eardrum, and there were some interviews with different trainers, Roy Jones, and different fighters. I will say this. Um, And I didn't look at it at the time because he was just getting his ass kicked. I didn't really see it as a bad thing because I pretty much felt like the fight was over. Um, but I think Jeff Mayweather has said you owe it to your fighter to have a conversation in between rounds, and I think that's real. You know what I mean? And I can understand you being sour about that if that's indeed what happened. That he threw the towel in and he didn't even talk with you in between rounds. Like, yo, if you keep up like this, I gotta call it. You know what I mean? And if he did do that, I think that is overstepping your bounds because you're not the one out there putting life and limb on the line. And if he's getting his ass kicked, I know you want to protect your fighter, but at the same time, at least let him get out the round and just let him know, hey man, I'm gonna call it. And if they're really like, no, I don't call it, don't call it, don't call it. All right, I'm gonna let you go out there, but you start getting hit again, you take another shot or two, I'm gonna call it. You know what I mean? So I can understand him being sour at that, but that's a difference than saying the dude spiked and drugged you. You know what I mean? And really, when you look at it, he would have made more money if you won.
Yeah.
Why would he sabotage you? He would have made more money if you won because you'd have had a bigger fight. The next fight would have been a bigger fight. You know, either a three-peat with him, an Anthony Joshua fight, he would have done better with you winning. You know what I mean? But I think at this point, Wilder is just, I don't know if he's soul searching or what the fuck he's doing. But man, Wilder, stop the capping, man. Please. Stop the cap, bro. We want to see you back. I want to see you back. You're exciting. We want to see you back, but man, stop the cap, man. You had an off night. Shit happens, man. People have rough nights in the business. Pick it up and do what you need to do. You know what I'm saying?
I'd like to see him come in a little bit heavier too, slightly heavier. I think he
Yeah,
was a little bit light for Fury in that fight.
man.
I think he was like, yeah, I don't
He was
remember
like
what he was,
215. He was the lightest he was. I think he was like 215, 215.
but Fury came in hella heavier.
Yeah. I think if you're gonna be light, I don't really trip on weight like that.
You can pop that
If you're
jab
gonna
if
be
you're gonna be
light,
lighter.
you
Sure.
have to use movement and you have to be technical then. You can't be light in the ass and try to fight a physical fight against a bigger dude. So if you're gonna come in light, that's not a problem, but be light for a reason. Like Anthony Joshua. He's lighter now, but he's light for a reason, so he can move better. So it's no point in being light and just standing in there and slugging it out, being flat footed. That shit that don't make
But
no
I
sense at
do got
all.
one gripe though. I do feel like that's too much of a gap weight wise. And I think they changed it, didn't they? There's a new division now for heavier heavyweights or no?
Is there like
Or
a
they're
super, like
talking
an
about it.
ultra
Maybe it's
heavyweight?
proposed. Maybe it's just proposed.
Yeah, they used to have super heavyweights though.
Because
Remember,
how big was Fury? He was like 260, right?
270, 260, two
Yeah,
seventy.
like a 40, 50. That's like too much.
Yeah,
Like,
Fury's a bum though, bro. And I don't give a fuck, bro. Like Fury's not that nice, bro. Fucking, I seen Steve Cunningham drop Fury. Steve Cunningham was a cruiserweight. You know what I'm saying? Fury's not that nice, bro. And you know what I'm saying? I can't wait to see what's next. I want to see him fight Joshua. I want to see him
I'm
fight.
putting the dough up on Joshua. I'm not just gonna run my
Yeah,
mouth, but I'm gonna put a little something on that
yeah,
too.
I want to see him fight Ruiz. I want to see him fight Wilder again. To be
At
real,
this point, would you have him favored? You think he'd be favored against Joshua? I think they probably would favor him.
I think he would be favorite in the public's eyes. I wouldn't call him the favorite though. You know what I mean? I think Joshua's the better fighter. You know what I mean? Like in all facets, he's more powerful. I think he's a better boxer. Even though Fury has whatever little gypsy dip bullshit he be doing, I think that Joshua is the better fighter. I think he's all in all a better fighter. You know what I'm saying? So I would definitely lean towards Joshua as a favorite. But I think when the line comes out, for sure Fury is going to be the favorite. For sure.
Yeah, it's just
Probably
dope. It's just dope to be able to be excited about the heavyweight division in general, though. You know,
absolutely, man. Absolutely. Because, the heavyweight division, when we was coming up, carried boxing. You know what I mean? Like it carried boxing, and then the Klitschko's got it, and then it was just shit. You know what I mean? Nobody even really watched it. You know what I mean? So to have these guys coming in, it's a breath of fresh air. You know what I mean? Wilder, Joshua, all these dudes. I think it's dope, and I look forward to the fights, man. Like with me, like with us in general, we look forward to the fights, man. You know what I mean? Like we want to see the fights, man, regardless of our personal bias or who we rock with. At the end of the day, we want to see good fights. You know what I mean? And that's what we're
best
here
fight the
for.
best.
The best fight, the best, in and out. You know what I mean? Having said that, let's close it out, man. This was our first segment. Something light. We definitely gonna get back into it. Comment, like, share, subscribe. We will have an Instagram, Deadly Combination. You know what I mean? Definitely tune into the Gold Dirty Bastards. They always covering some raw shit. So definitely tune in. Every week. Every week to them. We're gonna keep you coming with content as far as with the Deadly Combination. We're gonna have some guests on here. We're gonna make it do what it do, man. Nip, what you got to say, man?
Yeah, no, it's just exciting to be able to have a forum to talk about this now, and hopefully the audience will get engaged, start talking some
Absolutely.
shit, some stuff in the comments, so we can
Mhm.
have some little arguments here and there, and keep it
Yeah,
entertaining. I'm
absolutely.
excited, and we're fans of the game. We watched this fight shit since we were middle school at the house. E would come
Yeah,
through the house. E Major would come through the house. We had all kinds of people come through the house.
yeah,
Drink up, have some whatever, and enjoy some fucking boxing. I've always said I don't find anything more exciting in any sport than a big fight. And football is my favorite sport, but I don't even have a Super Bowl matchup even close to the intensity of a big fight. all the
The energy
lights
is
on
different,
Saturday
man. Yeah,
night.
the energy is different, especially because I think it's just because it's an individual sport. You know what I mean? And the intensity and the prowess, and like everybody says, man, you can't play boxing. You know, people get hurt in football, people get hurt in NBA and sports, but you can't play boxing. You play football, you can't play MMA. You got to fight, man, and that's a different animal. You know what I mean? So stay tuned. Let us know if there's some topics you want us to touch on. You know, if you have a specific question, let us know, man. Hit us up. I mean, we'll be back at you real shortly, man. Nip,
Yep, yep.
salute. Salute
Peace
always,
out.
man.
We ghost.
All right. One.